Well, I'm guessing you all might remember this picture very well. This is the very famous and very recent picture of Mr. Prashant Bhushan holding the 1 rupee coin fine which was imposed on him by the Supreme Court of India on finding him guilty of contempt of court for these exact tweets. Well, the same wrath of the contempt of court has now befallen stand-up comedian Kunal Kamra, and not once but twice. Kamra is facing 2 contempt charges. One for his tweets on 11th November, these tweets to be exact, and then for his tweet on 18th of November. Mr. K.K. Venugopal, the Attorney General of India, while giving consent for initiating contempt charges against Kamra, said, "I believe it is time that people understand that attacking the Supreme Court unjustifiedly and brazenly will attract punishment under the Contempt of Court Act 1972. But does hurting the sentiments of a Supreme Court judge amount to contempt? And do mere tweets have the ability to scandalize or bring down the dignity of the highest court of the country?" The answer lies in answering this famous scenario-based question. A cashier will give cash to the burglar out of the fear of a knife or a gun. The cashier will also give cash to a person in exchange of a check. Now, replace cash by dignity and think about this question. Ask this question to yourself. I'll come back to this later in the video. My name is Ishan Fosdar and you are watching The Upfront. First things first, what is contempt of court? Well, in very simple non-legal terms, any action which amounts to obstruction in the justice system or any action which does not let the court perform properly, function properly, amounts to contempt. Obstruction in the justice system can be carried out in many ways. If you do not obey an order given by the court, if you don't let a trial proceeding go properly, smoothly, if you steal any document of the court, etc., etc., all amount to obstruction in the justice system and finally amount to contempt. Diving into the legal aspects, Article 19(2) of our Constitution lists contempt of court as a reasonable restriction to the freedom of speech and expression. This means that the freedom of speech and expression which has been granted by the Constitution is not absolute. It has some limitations, and contempt of court is one of them, which the citizens of India or anyone for that matter cannot contravene. Contravening it will lead to action, legal action. Stemming from Article 19(2), we have the Contempt of Courts Act 1972. This act divides contempt into 2 parts. 2 types of contempt: criminal contempt and civil contempt. Civil contempt comes into play when you do not follow an order of the court. Let's say you are fined ₹5,000 by any court and you do not pay that fine in the given amount of time. You can be tried then for civil contempt. Criminal contempt is the problematic part of this law and it is governed by Section 2C of this act. Criminal contempt charges can be pressed against you if you do either of the 2 things. First, as I mentioned before, you create an obstruction in the justice system. You obstruct the justice. And second, if you scandalize or lower the dignity of the court. Now, this second part of scandalizing or lowering the authority of the court is the problematic part of this law, and this very part caused trouble for Mr. Prashant Bhushan and is now causing trouble for Kunal Kamra. This part is simply the court telling you that you dare not insult me because that will bring my reputation down. There are many other aspects to know about the contempt law, such as the presumption of guilt or strict liability, and you will find the links to those readings in the description. But I'll now come to the very nature of the contempt law of India. As of what I understand about law, India's contempt law still is of the nature of the king's law, which is very problematic. I now talk specifically about the second part of the criminal contempt, the scandalizing the court, lowering the dignity of the court. In the Prashant Bhushan case, the judgment given by the Supreme Court repeatedly use the term lowering the dignity of the court. Now this lowering the dignity, lowering the authority, scandalizing all come from feudal principles from the times of the king. You all might have seen a king in some or the other movie, and one thing which was common amongst all kings and queens in the world is that their decision, their word was final and binding. The kings and queens used this power to resolve disputes and were essentially the first judges. But as the administrative burden increased, this dispute resolving power and authority was given eventually to other ministers, and essentially the first judges were king's delegates, king's ministers, and had the same authority, the same charisma and the same power as the king. So just as the king could not be questioned or criticized, these first judges could not be questioned or criticized. The king was the master, the public their servant. The judges were the master, the public their servant. This was the dichotomy then. But in a democracy, the roles are reversed. Starting from the prime ministers to all the ministers and the advocates and the judges are called public servants. The public is the master and the ones in the power are their servants. And ideally, a master should have all the right to question and criticize the servants. Coming from this point, in a democracy, the contempt laws, feudal contempt laws should have no place. And this has been reiterated by judges around the world. For instance, in Australia, in the case of Monday of 1972, Justice Hope observed there is no more reason why acts of courts should not be trenchantly criticized than acts of public institutions, including the parliament. In India, we still follow the king's law, the king's nature of the contempt law. The feudal nature of India's contempt law is not compatible with Indian democracy, or for that matter any democracy. Let's understand why. A cashier will give cash to a burglar out of the fear of a knife or a gun, but the cashier will also give cash in exchange of a check to an individual. Which is the fair way? You might have the answer with you. This question, this scenario lies at the heart of the question of the source of authority and respect. Should the courts of India be respected by the people because of the fear of punishment, of contempt, or should they respect the courts because of the tireless service which they provide to our country, our society? Our current contempt law seems to favor the former opinion, the opinion of ruling with an iron fist. Our Attorney General seems to believe that tweets have the capability to bring down the authority and respect of the Supreme Court, and that this authority and respect should be protected at all costs with an iron fist, or to say the contempt law, the criminal contempt. This is the first problem of the contempt law. It tries to derive respect and authority out of the fear of punishment. Any value which has fear at its base cannot survive in a well-civilized society. And I personally find it appalling to think that mere tweets can have the capability to bring down the respect which the people of India hold for the oldest and the highest judicial body of the country. And here it would be apt if I quote a line from a case in Canada. Courts are not fragile flowers which will wither away with controversies. Then we come to the second problem, the uncertainty of the contempt law. Fali S. Nariman, an eminent jurist and a law expert, called the England's contempt law as the Docks law. And India's law follows the same pattern. A Docks law is a law which is inconsistent, vague and subjective. I'll illustrate this with an example. In P.N. Duda's case, the Union Minister called the Supreme Court biased towards the rich and that it sympathized with the zamindars and bank magnates. No contempt action was taken against this Union Minister. However, in an earlier and similar case, the then CM of Kerala, Namudripat, said that the Supreme Court sympathized with the rich and is biased towards the rich. A similar allegation, right? But in this case, Namudripat was convicted of contempt of court. So you see, two similar allegations, but two different judgments. This is the uncertainty of the contempt law. You never know what will happen in a contempt case unless you are charged under it. This is the dog's law. There are many other problems with the contempt law, such as strict liability or the judge being both the victim and the judge, and presumption of guilt in the proceeding. But it is very easy to poke holes and very difficult to suggest amends. So let's take the difficult route and let's analyze what can be done to make this law better. The foremost recommendation of law experts and leading jurists of the country is to take away the scandalizing the court and lowering the authority of the court part from the criminal contempt, which is section 2C1. Taking away this part will not result in taking away the protection which was given to the judiciary by our constitution makers. There is a difference between scandalizing the court and obstruction of justice, which will be clear after this example, which was quoted by Justice Markande Kadju. You go into a courtroom, you shout "fool" at the judge once and then you go away. Now this might account for scandalizing the court, but this is in no way obstructing the justice system. But on the same page, if you go into the courtroom and keep on shouting "fool, fool, fool, fool" before the judge will not be able to do his job of delivering justice, of administering justice, and this will account for obstruction of justice and hence criminal contempt. The recommendation is to take away the scandalizing the court part and to keep the obstruction of justice part, and it would be apt to quote Lord Salmon here. The description of the contempt of court no doubt has a historical basis, but it is nevertheless misleading. Its object is not to protect the dignity of the court, but to protect the administration of justice. Finally, the judges, the justices of India, the wisest people of India need to let go of the feudal character of the contempt law, need to use it sparingly, need to use it judicially, and need to understand and prioritize individual liberty over individual dignity. The freedom of speech and expression is the larger idea, and it should be upheld. And finally, it would be appropriate to end this video with Lord Denning's quote. Let me say at once that we will never use this jurisdiction of contempt of court to uphold our own dignity. That must rest on surer foundations. Nor will we use it to suppress those who speak against us. We do not fear criticism, nor do we resent it. For there is something far more important at stake. It is no less than freedom of speech itself. If you like this video and you like the work that we are doing, please do like this video and our other videos. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon so that you get regular updates on whenever we upload a new video. Thank you so much.